Hiya! Welcome! So it was probably about a month ago, give or take a few days, on this channel where I opened some mail. Mail opened is a weird expression, but I showed a bundle of cheap DVDs that I got from eBay, all from the World of Books '08 seller. And a couple of the items were Chris Morris related. It was the complete series of Brass Eye and of Nathan Barley, two brilliant Channel 4 comedy series from the 1990s and 2000s. And it got me to thinking, yeah, I want to fill in some gaps in my Chris Morris collection. I've already got a few things that I've had for years, such as the complete series of Jam on DVD. I'll talk more about that later on. The TV show that really introduced us to the brilliant satire of Chris Morris from the mid-90s, The Day Today. But I wanted to get all the stuff, or as much of the stuff as I could that I hadn't already got, on physical media, and we've got lots of different formats to show you in this video, all relating to or by Chris Morris. So this is kind of along similar lines to the couple of Stuart Lee videos that I've done recently, where I've basically added to my collection with work of his on CD, DVD of course, and I will be showing some more Stuart Lee related stuff on the channel very soon, probably in the next Records Roundup actually, as it is kind of all music related this time, but still involving Stu. Anyway, back to Chris, or Christopher Morris. Almost all of this stuff is from eBay, apart from this first item here, which is a purchase from Discogs Marketplace. And it is the 12-inch single that's credited to Morris, Bushwhacked 2. This wasn't massively expensive, I think around £10 and then a bit in postage. What is Bushwhacked 2? Well, first of all, it came out on Warp Records, who Chris Morris is associated with, or has been at certain times over his career. And it's, as you would expect, from it being a number 2, a follow-up to, I think it was just one track that he did that was like a download only, basically like a kind of audio version of a YouTube poop or a supercut. I don't know what sort of dance track, because I've not really listened to any of them, but music was made by cutting up certain speeches and sound bites from the former US President George W. Bush. And the second one that was done got released physically on 12-inch vinyl, and it does have some remixes as well. So I've got my glasses on in this video so I can actually read some of the stuff. But it's the Ozzy Miso Verdict, the Raw Feed, the Adrian Sutton Mounting, and the Jim Ponavespa Conclusion. Quick look at this. I think I've heard a bit of one of these mixes, possibly the Osmosis or Ozzy Miso Verdict. Generally not heard any of Bushwhacked 2, or indeed the original Bushwhacked track. I do believe there is a video of it out there on YouTube. A bit of an unusual start. George W. Bush and Chris Morris with Bushwhacked 2. On now to everything else that is from eBay, and I'll kick off with a Blu-ray, and this is one of my all-time favourite films. It had been available to watch on certainly Amazon Prime for free for a number of years. I don't know if it is now, I'm assuming not. But for me, it's a 5-star film. It's so funny, it's so well done. It is Four Lions. And when I was looking for this on eBay, I decided to get this particular version. It is a Blu-ray, but it's in this nice hardback book style. A little bit similar to the case in which the Nathan Barley DVD came that I showed you in the World of Books haul video last month. Disc just there. I won't go on massively about any of the work here, whether I've seen it or not, because I urge anyone with interest in comedy, satire, and just wanting to experience the work of an outright genius to check out anything Chris Morris related. But Four Lions is such a great film, I'm trying to think if I used to own it back in the day on any format. I honestly can't remember. I may have owned an old DVD or Blu-ray copy a couple of decades nearly ago, but glad to have got this particular rather nice, bit more collectible edition of Four Lions into my Morris collection. Similarly packaged, although this is a DVD, it is something I've never seen before. This is a short film and it's kind of a spin-off of sorts from a Jam sketch. I think it might have been from the radio series Blue Jam rather than the TV series Jam, but I honestly am not sure, and we'll talk a bit more about Jam later on. But this is My Wrongs, number 8245-8249 and 117. Really catchy name there. Similar hardback book style. This was very cheap. Four Lions, by the way, I think that was about £6 or £7. This was about £3 or £4. Also released on Warp Records, their DVD arm. There's the disc there. It's got what might be some handwritten, or meant to look like handwritten, sleeve notes in here. Based on a talking dog sketch from either Blue Jam or Jam, this. I don't think this DVD lasted very long. As I say, it's a short film, and I think the main feature is only about 12 to 15 minutes. And there's a couple of other tracks or bits on which are even shorter. It's a Chris Morris directed thing, and it's got Paddy Considine in it as well. My Wrongs, all the numbers. Now we move on to the remainder of the stuff being on CD. Of course, Chris Morris made his name in radio, had shows like Blue Jam on Radio 1, and of course he did other things like On the Hour on Radio 4. This is an actual Radio 3 thing here. There again, very cheap. This was a couple of quid, maybe £3 at the most. And it is Peter Cook and Chris Morris. Why Bother? 5 interviews as heard on BBC Radio 3. So I'll read out a bit of the bump on the back here. 1994 saw one of Peter Cook's most acclaimed performances since his 1960s heyday. Chris Morris's surreal and inventive questions brought out the very best of eccentric aristocrat Sir Arthur Strebe Greebling, a character whom Cook had carried with him through Beyond the Fringe, and not only but also to his latter years. So it's kind of Chris Morris in his sort of hostile interrogator role that he did so well, certainly on things like The Day-to-Day, Brass Eye, and I suppose arguably even the last couple of series of Stuart Lee's Comedy Vehicle. I think it says 5 interviews, yeah, running time 50 minutes. I've never heard this before. Apparently it's very funny and I'm looking forward to it. Some of the audio or radio comedy that I've collected over the past month or two, from the likes of Lee and Herring, for example, as well as some of Stuart Lee's solo stuff, I've really enjoyed, and I'd like to get more audio / radio based comedy into my collection, and this one, being a Chris Morris thing, was a no-brainer. Looking forward to Why Bother, featuring the legendary Peter Cook, who is sadly missed. Right then, these 2 sets were the kind of big ticket items, as they were quite expensive. On Discogs they would have cost kind of upwards of £35–40 each. I managed to make best offers on these on eBay and got them for around, after some negotiation, £29 each, which is still a lot, but there's 4 CDs I think in each set, and they're nice high quality sets as well. Again from Warp Records. This is series 1 of On the Hour. Another book style thing here, although not a lot to read in here. Each page is really a CD pocket. I'll just get one out to show you. So that's disc 1 of series 1, and it's got episodes 1 and 2 on. So that pocket will have episodes 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and there's one more which has got extras on. I think there might be an insert actually. Yes, there is. Ah yes, now this will tell me what the extras are. Just the On the Hour pilot episode, which is the extra on this set, gives you the cast list and production information as well. Obviously the day-to-day stems from On the Hour, The day-to-day is brilliant, seen it many times. On the Hour, to my eternal shame, I've never listened to. I will have heard little bits and bobs over the years, but that's where it all started really. That's series 1 of it, and of course I had to get series 2 in a very similar vein. Another Warp Records release. I think these both came out at the same time originally, back in the late 2000s or early 2010s. 4 pockets or pages. Once again, 2 episodes on that, I think. Yep, series 2, episodes 1 to 2. These will have all 6 editions of the show, and there's another extras disc at the end. And I'm assuming there'll be another little pull-out insert. Says it's the pilot again. I'm not sure it is the pilot actually. I'm wondering if that's like the wrong insert that was put in. But I think on here there's some outtakes, I think. Does it say on the actual disc? No, it just says series 2 extras really. Originally on Radio 4. Expensive sets these, but if I was going to go all in on Christopher Morris, then I couldn't really ignore these, and I was at least able to get a little bit of money off them from an eBay seller. Finally, a mail opening. Been waiting for this for a while because the eBay seller had accepted a best offer, which was £20, and then he forgot he sold it to me, so I had to chase him up about it after a week and say, is that thing I bought off you gonna arrive? And it's like, oh yeah, sorry about that, I forgot. I'll get it in the post later on today. And to be fair, he did, and it's only taken a couple of days since then for it to arrive. Those of you with more of a working knowledge of Chris Morris might be able to guess what this is, and I have already alluded to it a couple of times. There again, quite an expensive thing really for just I think a standard single disc CD, but probably something that's long deleted. And I'm rambling here because I'm trying to cover the fact I'm struggling to open this rather makeshift packaging here. I think we're almost in there. It's also wrapped it up in a Tesco carrier bag. The packing material of the gods, obviously. And it is Jam, or Blue Jam, I should say. Credited to Chris Morris. So if you went on Discogs to look for this, it would be under Chris Morris as the artist name. It's a compilation of the Radio 1 show Blue Jam, which of course, similar to how On the Hour went from radio to television, Blue Jam would eventually go from radio to Channel 4. But this was originally on Radio 1, and this is a compilation of some of the best sketches, if you can call them sketches. It's a weird mixture of cut-ups, ambient, electronica, and comedy, really. Quite a difficult CD to find, certainly for cheap. I mean, there is 1 or 2 other copies going, certainly on eBay. God, it's difficult to read anything that's in this booklet, even with my glasses on. It's sort of silver text on a dark purple background really, and everything's not spaced out very well, but that's deliberately so. But there is credits and production stuff in it as well. The TV series Jam, it's not my favourite Chris Morris work. My favourite Chris Morris work is The Day to Day, Brass Eye and Four Lions, and maybe some of this other stuff, which is obviously mostly audio. That'll grow to be considered favourites in his oeuvre in time as well. But there again, as a self-respecting Chris Morris collector now, I couldn't really ignore this. So really happy that I eventually got this. I should have really got it maybe a week before. A bit of chasing up on eBay did no harm. That is the compilation of Blue Jam. And that's all the Chris Morris stuff that I've got to show you today. Is there anything out there that I still want? Well, yeah, kind of. There's a very, very limited CD, which is kind of like a second volume or an accompaniment to this, that I think came out on CDR, and it might have even been a free gift with a magazine years ago. No one's selling it on Discogs or eBay or anywhere else, I don't think. There's a couple of little bits that maybe there's some overlap, it's just stuff that's taken from some of these other CDs maybe that's been out, like as sort of free cassettes in magazines and stuff. As for his film and TV work, I think I'm pretty complete on his television. His film work, he did release a film, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a bit over 10 years ago, called The Day Shall Come, and it's only ever had a DVD release in Region 4, Australia and certain other territories. So I've been a bit on the fence as whether to risk getting that, because I'm not sure it'd definitely work in my DVD and Blu-ray player. It is available to buy digitally from your usual places, and apparently it's also available to watch for free on the Channel 4 streaming service. As I've never seen it, and I do feel a bit ashamed about that, given how much I love Christopher Morris's work, but I will endeavour to watch that at some point in the very near future. But I would really like a physical copy, but it's unlikely it's going to get a Blu-ray or DVD release over here, and I don't think I want to risk importing the Australian or New Zealand DVD in case it just doesn't work and I've spent money on something that's, you know, useless. But anyway, that's all my Chris Morris stuff for today. Hope you enjoyed looking at this. Please go and investigate his work more. Plenty of clips and things on YouTube, and certain stuff is available to stream as well at various places. But if you're anything like me, go and buy some of the vinyl, CD, DVD and Blu-ray that I've shown you today, and you will love it, I'm sure of it. Thank you all for watching this, and I want to say special thanks to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, what else but start digging into all of this from Britain's comedy genius himself, the king as far as I'm concerned of satire, certainly in the modern era, Chris Morris. What is he going to do next? I don't know. His work is kind of infrequent, but when he brings something out or he's involved in something, it's always high quality, it's always hilarious, and there's always kind of a message behind it as well if you endeavour to look for it. But I'm going to go and get stuck into all that, and I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next DVD, CD, Blu-ray and record collecting video or videos. Cheers everyone. See ya!